Hello, my name's Norman and I'm a teacher of academic writing. In these videos I am going to show you how to improve your own academic writing. Now, in the last video I gave my own personal working definition of what is academic writing. I defined it as any kind of writing that's assessed in return for a qualification. I then went on to talk about position and how important position is in your writing. And I explained position was your own opinion, your overall opinion, your overall attitude, your overall answer to the written task that you were given. Now, in this video, I'm going to give a little bit more detail on why your position is important, and then how to include position in your writing in answer to the homework question I gave you last time. Now, it's a little bit chilly out here today, so if my nose turns blue, you'll know the answer why. Let me just explain here. I don't know if you can see that, but it's minus 2 degrees outside. So, that aside, let's continue. Why is your position important? Well, I mentioned last time that your position is your voice, and your voice is important. Examiners want to see what you think, what your opinion is. Now, you might reference all the books you've read, all the authors. Now, these are other voices in your work. They're not your voice. You might reference journal articles. Again, these are not your voice. You might refer to what you have heard in your lectures. Again, this isn't your voice. You might repeat what you have heard from your professors or your tutors. Again, these are other voices. Now, what the examiner is looking for is your reaction to these other voices. What do you think about your sources? How do you analyze this information? Is the information useful? Is it correct? Have you analyzed these other voices? Now, it's important. It's important that you express your opinions. It shows the examiner. It demonstrates to the examiner that you understand the work. You understand the books you've read. You've understood the lectures. You've understood all the articles you've collected. And your understanding is your voice. That will give you better marks. If you simply repeat what you've read, if you simply repeat what you've heard, this is a collection of information and it won't get you very far. You need to demonstrate you can do something with that information. And that's your voice. Now, the second reason why your voice is important, your position is important, when it comes to marking your paper, examiners have limited time. They don't have the luxury of being able to read, reread, go have a coffee, come back, reread again. They don't want to have a hard time searching for your position. Let me give you an example of this. A few years ago, I worked at a university. I taught 3 classes, over 30 students in each class, and at the end of term they had to hand in a 3,000 word project. So that's 100 students, each writing 3,000 words. So I had 300,000 words to mark, and I was given 1 week, 1 working week. Now, if I spent half an hour reading each project, how many hours would it take me to mark 100 papers? Now, you do the maths. I'm not going to do it for you. But I'll give you another example. A few years ago, I worked for one of these industrial testing organizations. And every week, several thousand papers would come into the office. On a quiet weekend, there'd probably be about 5,000 scripts come in. On a busy weekend, there would be double that number, so around 10,000 scripts. And the deadline for marking those scripts was 3 days. Now, obviously, you'd need an army of examiners to get through that many scripts. But the point I'm making here is that an examiner has only got time to read your paper once. So the examiner needs to check that you have met the marking criteria in the first read. So we're talking about minutes. And if your position is not clear, then the examiner is going to move on. The examiner does not want to spend extra time trying to work out what it is you're trying to say, what your opinion or attitude is. So that's the second reason. Now, the third reason your own thoughts are important. The third reason that your position is important and that you should state your position explicitly and directly is that it's a cultural one. Now, most writers would expect for you to state your case first and then move on and defend or persuade or explain your position. So most Western readers would expect your position to come early in your writing. That's where they would look for it. Now, if it's not there, it would probably be in the conclusion. So this brings me to the question of, well, how to include your position. Well, I hope in your homework, in the articles that you read, you discovered that the writer usually puts their position in the introduction. That's where I would expect it. Now, as part of the introduction, it would probably be part of your thesis statement. Now, thesis statement is a technical word. It just means the sentence that is the controlling idea for your whole piece of writing. And it's usually towards the end of your introduction. So your position would be probably incorporated into that thesis statement. Now, that's where an examiner would expect to see it. So I would advise you, include your position in your thesis statement, in the introduction. Now, later on, you might need to rephrase your position in your conclusion. Your essay might lead up to a restatement of your position. And again, an obvious place for the position would be in your conclusion. But then all the way through your writing, there will be indicators of your position. The type of words you use, the type of hedging. By hedging, I mean, are you very certain? Are you uncertain? The words you use to describe your certainty. These will all give away your position and your stance. So, to conclude then, you must have a direct, explicit position statement in your writing. I would hope to see that in your introduction, probably as part of your thesis statement. I would probably expect to see it in your conclusion too. And then throughout every paragraph, your position, the thread of your position, would be evident in the type of vocabulary choice you use, the type of words you use, the certainty you express, and the judgments you make. So Your adjectives and adverbs will give away your particular stance. So your position should be a thread from the introduction through every paragraph to the conclusion. Now I hope that's helped. In the next video, we're going to look at what the examiner specifically is looking for and how to find out what the examiner wants. See you next time.